Okay, good morning and welcome to Mishna, Iyun on Mishna. We're discussing Mesachas Trumas Perek Vav Mishna Aleph here. This talks about the halacha. These Mishnayos talk about the halacha of Yisrael eats the truma that should belong to a Kohen. Either you gave it to a Kohen, you separated it is truma, and you ate it b'shogeg. So you not only have to pay back some Kohen, or the particular Kohen you ate it from, you have to pay him back the value of the truma that you ate. You also have to pay him back an extra penalty of a chomish. A 1/5 penalty, 1/5 in addition to that. This money has to be from chulin. You can't give other truma and use it to pot yourself with that. And when you give this chulin to the truma, to the kohen, it becomes truma. So therefore, if you go again and eat that chulin, once you give it to the kohen, you're reliable to pay back and pay another fifth. So one of the halachas is imrasa kohen limchol eno mochel. And the Mishnah says if the kohen wants to say, okay, you ate my truma b'shogeg, I don't need to be paid back. I'm mochel. And normally mechila works when it comes to a chov. Someone owes you money and say, I'm mochel the chov, so you don't owe the money anymore. Right? Here it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work over here? Why doesn't it work? So we've explained many times that there's two parts of the mitzvah. There's the mitzvah of hafrashas truma, right, which is min adon l'makom. You're being matish l'gavoa. It's like a neder. And then there's the nesina to the kohen. You give it to the kohen, which is dini mamnis. You owe the kohen money. Or you are the shevet kohen money, or some kohen money. The fact that a kohen can't be mochel shows that even though there's a dini mamnis that you have to give, the second part of mitzvah is to give it to a kohen. The kohen is not completely entitled. It's not completely his money. He doesn't own the truma completely. He doesn't have a right to the truma. Maybe it's not exactly mishulchan gavoa kazach like karbonos, where you have the kohanim have no entitlement at all to the meat of sacrifice. They're just eating it at Hashem's table. Here, the Gemara doesn't say that by Truma. However, by Truma, even though it's not Mishloach Gavoa Kazachu, it doesn't entirely belong to the Kohen. It partially belongs, and I would explain it like this, that it's Hashem wants the Kohen to get it. It's not that you owe the money to the Kohen, because technically there's a lot of Kohanim out there. You don't owe it to any particular Kohen. Hashem gave you a responsibility to give it to a Kohen. Hashem wanted you to give it to a Kohen. So it's not that it's the Kohen's money. He has a right. He has a right to truma once you give it to him, but it's not his money. We have to explain more. Is it because there's many Kohanim that can get the truma, or here even talk about you ate some particular Kohen's truma, you owe him the money, right? He can't be mocha. Particularly talking about even the Karen, he can't be mocha because even though it was his truma, the Kohen doesn't own it entirely. He has, I would call it a schus. He has a right to eat that. By karbonos, I wouldn't say it's a schus to eat the meat. It was just mishulchan gavoa kazach. When you're a guest at someone's house, you have no right to the food that the person serves you. You have ability to eat it. Therefore, right, you can't take food from someone else's house and go and take it out of the house and bring it and give it to someone. You're eating on his table. You don't have any rights to the food. You have a right to eat it, but you don't have any rights to the food in terms of ownership. Here, you have a schus mamon. You have a right in order to entitle yourself to that money, but it's a right given to you by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you can't say HaKadosh Baruch Hu said you have to pay back. The woman has to pay you. The person who ate the truma has to pay the going back. You have no right to be mochel and to forgo that schus that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you, because it's coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that gave you that schus. It's a schus mamon, but it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so you have no right to be mochel on that. We'll talk more about this in the coming days. Hope you enjoyed. See you on Sunday.